So without further ado, let me say a few opening comment on Mandarin, and then so that we can roll into introduction with the two dynamite gentlemen here. So 大家好今天呢，现在目前大概有43位朋友呢上线因为呢一部分的朋友呢是第一次在屏幕见到我已经很久了，所以呢还是补充一下跟大家再拜年恭喜大家身体健康，还有呢财源滚滚。那说到财源滚滚这个可能是广东话的贺词的说法。那既然说到财源滚滚呢，我们今天很荣幸得到那个我们陈总Alex Chan从温哥华打进来帮我们重复一下大概3-4个礼拜以前我们 IDG 全国性的业务开展年会里面呢，他讲的这个标题From Wealth to Power。那在上线那一刻呢，因为是 national 大概有600个 advisor， 不管是老外还是我们中国来的 advisor。那这个过程当中呢June 跟我的感觉呢，这个内容特别对我们这个华裔社区呢特别有关系。那我们后期的就跟 Alex 再了解一下，然后呢通过 June 跟他想法呢，那 Alex 就愿意呢今天呢给大家呢做另外一个独立的讲座了，是那边这个600个人还没有机会再详细听的，所以今天是一个非常好的一个待遇所以内容呢会在按照上次的基础上面，我们再加强一些内容，按照 June 的建议所以同时也这个机会呢再感谢 Trinity 的 June 然后呢你们在屏幕里面还有另外一个帅哥白春义那位呢是我们在IDC 另外一个专家在Toronto 西面的Graeme Allan。Graeme, how are you? 他跟他的工作岗位呢是跟 Alex 一模一样的。我们公司目前这2年呢非常重视我们提供额外的资源给 advisor 去开发他们在保险基金这一块的业务。所以呢在 Vancouver BC 那边有我们陈总 Alex在东面呢我们有这个 Graeme Allan 这边。那 Graeme 呢实在呢他的 office是跟我跟 Stephen 律师同一栋大楼所以挺方便的，将来有什么互动什么东西的要谈那最后一句话呢，因为在座40几位朋友有一些是老手，有一些是刚刚做保险的所以大家就比较协调一点希望问故而知新有一些东西可能你听过，有可能是用过又放了几年没有用，有一些人可能感觉这所有东西都是很新鲜来不及吸收，那这个可以后话呢我们呢1对1的去追踪这个学习的过程。那话题说到这里，今天的presentation 呢分2部分Alex 有2个不同的 PowerPoint PPT 来讲。那我们尽量呢，因为他的普通话不是特别好，所以呢他还是用英语我在旁边呢去听然后呢如果中间呢大家有什么提问呢可以压到最后的提问，或者在 chat box 里面打进去，然后呢我们在后期呢Graeme Allan 或者是我自己或者是陈总或者是 June 都可以，我们有一个互动那我话都说到这里without further ado, I'm going to put the presentation and all the juicy stuff back to Alex.
Great, thank you, Sam, for the nice introduction and welcome, and thank you for introducing Graeme as well. As Sam mentioned, I'm Alex Chan, based out of British Columbia, and of course my colleague Graeme Allan, based out of Ontario, part of the wealth and banking team headed up by Jason Payne, and of course our banking director Vic Ray as well. So Sam, just want to quickly thank you and Stephen for having Graeme and myself on the Asian markets webinar today. And I did hear that you did thank Mr. Jun Gao of Trinity as well to make it all happen, because initially June wanted us to do this presentation to his people. And of course, Sam said, well, you know, if we're going to do this presentation, June, is it okay that we open it up to the Asian markets? And of course, June graciously agreed. So thank you once again, June Gao. So without further ado, let's get going. I'm just going to share my screen here. I have two presentations for you today. First off, I'm going to start with the top 10 markets in 2021 and why we feel those will continue into 2022. And then, of course, the presentation, the second part will be from wealth to par, which we've had a lot of great feedback on. Graeme is going to handle the chat, so if there's any questions, just put them into the chat, and I'm just going to share my screen and get going. Well, 2021 has been a record-breaking year for investments, not only in the industry, but also at IDC WorldSource. So what I wanted to do today, Graeme and I wanted to go over the top 10 opportunities in 2021 and what we foresee will continue right into 2022. So the top 10 opportunities that brought us many wealth sales in 2021, we feel will continue into 2022. And I'll take a minute to talk about each of these, 10 tremendous opportunities, starting from real estate sales, QROPS, that's the qualifying registered overseas pension scheme, which I'll talk about, commuting defined benefit pensions, business and farm sales, the $1 trillion intergenerational wealth transfer and inheritances, a corporate borrow to invest strategy that's been working really well for those of you that have corporate clients, GMWB, those remain strong. I'll talk briefly about IPPs, GICs, converting those into GIAs, and then seg funds, and following the cash. 320 billion is reported sitting in cash in bank accounts in Canada. So first off, well, where does IDC Win stand in the overall market? Canadian seg fund universe as of December of last year, we were sitting at 145 billion in assets under management. Today, IDC Win, thank you to the advisors on the line for your wealth support. We're sitting at 8.9 billion. And in 2021, IDC, with the help of advisors, brought in 1.24 billion in new segregated fund deposits. And interestingly, I was doing another presentation this morning talking about the $145 billion seg fund industry. An interesting statistic, 88% of those assets are held with the top, or we call them the big five insurance companies on the wealth side. And those, of course, are Manulife, Canada Life, IA, Sun, and Empire. And just to give you a quick figure, Empire is roughly about the same size as IDC Win in assets under administration. So once again, thank you to all of our advisors for your wealth support. Real estate sales, a lot of money have been coming into the market on the seg fund side from real estate sales. We have had record high real estate prices, especially BC and Ontario, and real estate has produced substantial wealth for ordinary Canadians, and of course massive wealth for real estate developers, investors, and of course real estate is very prevalent today in the Asian markets. Many have taken profits from real estate and they want to diversify into a more outsourced, managed, and less hands-on investments such as segregated funds as they near retirement. Because those of you that invest in real estate, especially on the residential side, it's a lot of work collecting rent, doing maintenance, paying the taxes and all that stuff. And of course, large sums of money from these profits have been earmarked to the next generation. And segregated funds with privacy, estate cost savings, quick payout seems to resonate really well in this marketplace when your clients sell real estate. Number two, qualifying recognized overseas pension scheme. It's QROPS for short, and Sam was nice enough to translate it into Chinese there. QROPS program is still only available with IA segregated funds. And what this is there are many former residents of the UK now living permanently in Canada, and their pension funds are still in the UK, and they have no intention of moving back. And we also have experience of Chinese from the UK relocating to Canada. So you can definitely target market this segment of immigrants coming to Canada, or they may be here already, and you can find out they're from the UK and they contributed to pension. Now you can transfer this UK pension. It'll be free of UK taxes, so they're not going to get a big tax hit. Once deposited to IA, the plan is registered and will continue to grow tax deferred. You must be 55 or older and plan on residing in Canada for the next 5 years. And this is virtually an untapped market. When I talk to advisors in my region, and Graham as well has pointed this out in the East, this QROPS program has not been available for almost a decade. Formerly, we had this with Standard Life, which of course now is part of Manulife, but IA reintroduced this program. So definitely, if you know people from the UK, talk to them. Chances are they will have some pensions that you can transfer to Canada. The main benefits are reduction of tax liability at retirement. They have more increased investment options at IA, greater growth potential, and they feel that they have better control of the money. So it's transferred here, you put it into the IA QROPS program. And usually these bring in, pretty decent sales. We see anywhere from 250 to 750,000 of deposits. So another a great opportunity. Commuting defined benefit plans. This has again been a great market here in Canada. Your clients may have had employment change, they've gone through mergers, or their companies have been acquired. Some businesses have been wound down. There's been termination of employees. And when these changes happens with your clients that are part of a pension plan, they will be given an opportunity to commute their defined benefit pensions. Clients that have successfully commuted their pensions cite a few main reasons time and time again. Sometimes they question the financial stability of the employer's company. And sometimes the company managing or holding the funds, they question as well. And I put in brackets there, this is really never an issue of the stability of the company or the pension manager, but sometimes it's their perception of your clients. If they're terminated, bought out, or laid off, we find out they want to get their money out yesterday. They'll come to you and say, Sam, Graham, I need my money out of that pension right away, so you can definitely help them. This provides an opportunity to assist in the planning based on their RSP contribution room, because sometimes you will receive a cash portion, a TFSA room, and of course, the bulk of it does get transferred into a LIRA. And the plan holder, once commuted, going forward, they have greater flexibility of their investment options, potential for more growth. And of course, they can assign their own beneficiary and survivor options, which they really like. And as I mentioned there, we hear them say they want more control of their money. Sometimes a copycat annuity can be done. Basically, the copycat annuity actually copies the pension in the form of a life annuity. But again, in this marketplace, reach out to Sam or Stephen, and they in turn will reach out to Graham or myself to provide assistance, with the financial analysis, and we can let your clients know whether they should commute or not commute. The fourth one, business and farm sales. Farms have been selling for record prices per acre. And oftentimes these are due to conglomerates or land barons who plan to hold for future development or create larger economies of scale in the farming community. So oftentimes the farms are also sold because the next generation, they choose another career, resulting in the farmers selling. And we find this is very true in the Asian market, where their parents or grandparents were in farming. We have a lot of blueberry farms out here in BC. And the next generation, they'll say, mom, dad, you can go ahead and sell the farm because they're not interested to become a farmer. And again, very true in the Asian market. And net proceeds to the farmers from the sale are typically meant to pass to the next generation. And we find in this marketplace, those of you that are familiar with ESG investing, those are funds that have an environmental, social, and governance mandate to them. And those are available with seg funds. Definitely reach out to Sam, Graeme, or myself, and we can point those out to you. But again, because I guess they lived off the land, they've made money off the land, they believe in the land, they're very interested in ESG investing. And seg funds will help farmers plan their estate accordingly with privacy. Again, one of the big key features of seg funds is privacy. And also, we find life insurance is an excellent tool in this market for estate equalization between family members. We see this very prevalent where farmers, over the generations, they usually pass their farms on to the boys in the family. So oftentimes the girls would feel that they were left out. So part of estate equalization when we're doing planning with farmers is to inject some life insurance or segregated funds into the mix so that the daughters of the farmers are looked after. For businesses, many businesses are being sold, oftentimes sold to competitors or consolidators, again, to grow market share. And many older established businesses, they also sit on valuable real estate. They bought, 10 acres, what they thought was way out in the boonies years ago. And of course, that land today that the business sits on is also very, very valuable. And business property sales will, of course, yield millions and sometimes tens of millions, and oftentimes a huge opportunity to place those monies into segregated funds. Intergenerational wealth transfers. We are in the early stages of this wealth transfer, and this wealth transfer is estimated to be at over $1 trillion in Canada, with money changing hands going to the next generation. And this is one of the reasons why seg funds have grown to a $145 billion industry. And oftentimes with wealth transfers, sometimes it skips a generation and it goes directly to the grandchildren. And oftentimes you hear this from your clients. They'll say, you know what, my kids, they're doing pretty well. They got a good career. I want to leave those funds to my grandchildren. And is there a way that they can do it privately? And yes, of course, with seg funds. Intergenerational wealth transfer, it also opens up the door for charitable gifting with seg funds. There's many great charitable gifting opportunities and concepts out there. Again, talk to Sam, myself, or Graeme, and we can definitely help with those. ESG, again, ESG seg funds, a very popular choice in this market. And sometimes, extended families, you see, multiple marriages, people with extended families. And of course, there are multiple family situations as well that sometimes we see in the Asian markets. What resonates in this marketplace of the wealth transfer, 100% death benefit guarantee is a big one. You know, they look at the advisors and say, if I invest $1 million and I die, I want the $1 million to go to my beneficiary, regardless if there's a downturn in the market. So someone invests $1 million, you know, the time they die, if the market is at a dip and it's dipped down 10% and their account's gone from $1 million to 900,000, with 100% death benefit, you can assure your clients that all of the money will pass to the next generation. It's a huge benefit, and oftentimes it's something requested in wealth transfers. Privacy, cost savings, and of course, a quick payout by using segregated funds. The children and grandchildren of your top clients or top money clients especially, they should be brought into discussions, again, simply because when your older clients pass, you know, this money will go to their children or grandchildren. So again, you want to keep that money on your books, you know, when it transfers. And there's also going to be an opportunity for potential new clients, because when the older generation passes and their current advisor doesn't have a relationship, you know, with the beneficiaries may start to seek out other advisors in the community. So again, you know, definitely position yourself to be on the receiving end of these wealth transfers. Again, seg funds can be more cost effective than setting up a formal trust. And of course, seg funds come with all the 10 unique features of seg funds, which I'll give a quick highlight of. But both Graeme and myself, we do have a presentation on 10 unique features associated with seg funds that we would be more than happy to present to this group. Those of you with corporate clients, great strategy, borrow personally through the corp to invest in segregated funds. And this is ideal for incorporated professionals, you know, doctors, dentists, lawyers, accountants, incorporated small business owners, as long as they have a 10-year plus time horizon, strong cash flow, strong retained earnings, and they're comfortable of taking on good debt, and they're experienced investors, and they understand the equity markets. So for your clients, business owner clients that have a lot of money in retained earnings within their corp, they're always looking at ways to pull this money out as opposed to paying themselves more salary or dividend because it attracts the highest tax rates. Also, some business owners no longer invest in the corp, or they limit investments within the corp to stay below the 50,000 passive income threshold. And of course, that affects the small business deduction. And every dollar over the 50,000 passive income threshold reduces the small business deduction by $5. So that's something to keep in mind. So how this works is the incorporated small business owner personally applies for the investment loan. So Sam Chan owns a company. Sam Chan, he personally applies for the investment loan. And again, through IA, B2B, or Manulife Bank, Vic Ray, our National Director of Banking, can help with this as well. The funded segregated fund account is held personally. So Sam holds this personally. So what that does, it also gives the business owner potential for creditor protection, which again, one of the key features of seg funds. So the company, Sam's company now pays him an amount equal to servicing the interest of the loan, which is taxable income. So the interest is repaid to the bank by the individual, which is tax deductible interest payments. So the result, let's say the interest is $1,000 a month. That $1,000 is drawn out of the company, paid to the executive business owner. It's deductible to the company, but it's taxable to the individual. However, that taxable income of, let's say, call it $1,000 a month, because you are applying that to an interest payment on borrowing to invest, the result is there's no tax on the funds pulled out of retained earnings. And a corporation funds a leverage investment program to grow supplemental retirement needs. And both Graeme and I have showed this to accountants. Accountants love this strategy because it's tax driven, and you can basically untrap corporate surplus by using this strategy. Again, we have a separate presentation on this altogether, showing the numbers and everything. So again, if it's something you're interested in, definitely reach out to Sam or Stephen, and Graeme and myself can definitely do this presentation. GMWB, those are the guaranteed minimum withdrawal benefit products in the marketplace, still bringing in great sales right across Canada. There's only 3 companies left that will do GMWB, Empire, IA, and Sun. Why GMWB is great? It's an alternative for GIC, GIA clients, because you can actually offer them a guarantee. So again, some advisors use GMWB as a base of the portfolio, or you can use an annuity as well. And the benefit of GMWB is the guaranteed base income will last as long as they live, so they can't outlive their money. It's like a personal pension plan for themselves. It's protected from market downturns, and even if their GMWB balance goes down to 0, they will still continue to receive the base income. So definitely talk to Graeme or myself if you would like some more information on GMWB. Empire Life sticks out in this market for clients wanting income at a later date. Empire will still offer a 4% notional bonus, again, offered by Empire Life on their Class Plus 3 product. And again, in this marketplace, even though IA and Sun have products, both Graeme and I have a lot of success working with the Empire product. Individual pension plans, IPPs. Again, with the tax changes that came in with passive income in January 2019, IPPs have become very popular once again. Again, they're available to small business owners, incorporated professionals. IPPs can offer a total larger contribution room than RSPs, and these contributions also increase with age. Target market, clients that are 40 and over, and a T4 income of 100,000 or more. And when we do the calculation, the proposal, there's also something called a past service contribution. And when implemented, this can be very large for some business owners. And again, accountants love IPPs because all of the contributions are 100% tax deductible to the company. And in the cases that both Graeme and myself have worked on, contribution into seg funds for IPPs can be large. Sometimes they're over $1 million as well. Again, work with Graeme or myself. We partner with a few actuarial firms right across Canada, and a number of the life insurance companies will provide the funding for an IPP. Again, it's a niche product. It's also an excellent prospecting tool to get into the door with small business owners. You know, they may or may not have as much interest in IPP, but you can get in and talk with them. Then you can have talks about segregated funds, par whole life, and all the other great products that we offer. And almost done this presentation, then I'll go on to the next, from wealth to par. GICs to GIAs to seg funds. GIC, Guaranteed Investment Certificate, offered by all banks, trust companies. GIAs, exactly the same as a GIC. It's the insurance company's version of a GIC. So when your clients, you know, say they want to buy a GIC or GIA, don't let them go to the bank, or don't tell them to go to the bank to buy GICs. You can sell GICs as a GIA and transition them into seg funds, and we'll show you how. Again, GIAs, exactly the same as a GIC, but a GIA has the tax and estate planning benefits of a seg fund with the guaranteed interest. So you get to both worlds, best of both worlds. You get the benefits of a seg fund and you get guaranteed interest. Larger deposits, 500,000 or more, come to Sam, Graeme, or myself, because usually we can get a special quote, and we can usually match some of the published GIC rates from the banks or credit unions. And you can further enhance these rates by 20, 25 bips through a reduction in your compensation. We don't recommend you do this all the time, but if you know they're a great life client, you want to get them in the door, you want to give them a good rate for the GIA, definitely talk to us, and we can help you come up with a really attractive rate. Now, once GIC clients become your GIA clients, oftentimes advisors discover the reason why they have the money in a GIC or GIA, they want to leave, let's call it the $1 million. They say, you know what, I want to leave this $1 million to my kids, and then the bit of interest I get, I'm going to live off the interest. And 9 out of 10 times, that is what you will find, especially older affluent clients investing in GIAs. Graeme and I can show you a conservative seg fund portfolio with a SWIP, a systematic withdrawal plan running. And the reason why we use a SWIP, it's really tax efficient. It's a combination of principal, dividends, capital gains, withdrawal. So it is a lot more tax efficient than interest income. So definitely, you know, talk to us and we can show you how a GIA can outperform a traditional GIC, and at the same time, a conservative portfolio will outperform them both. GMWB, again, this could be used to position to GIC, GIA clients as well. And also, I wanted to note that we have a unique product available in seg funds. We have a equity-linked GIA. This is exclusive to seg funds with Desjardins. So again, it's a GIA, and you can't lose your money. The principal is guaranteed 100%. But the returns are indexed to a basket of about 18 stocks. Again, that's been very popular, especially in the Asian community. So definitely talk to Sam, Graeme, or myself, and we can help you with a proposal there. The last area where across Canada has been bringing in a lot of money into seg funds, I call it look for the cash. It's estimated $320 billion in Canada is sitting in checking accounts, money market. Some cases we've seen clients with this cash underneath their bed, or like Sam, put in the safe in his wall. So again, there's lots of cash out there. So definitely look for the cash. You know, and we coach advisors to ask clients this question: what do you plan on doing with this cash? And in the Asian market, we all know this, so many in the Asian market is just holding on to the cash. Like, do you plan to travel, invest more, pay off a mortgage, help family, or perhaps leave it for your family? And oftentimes they'll say, well, I plan to leave this cash for my family. And if they plan to leave this cash for the family, introduce estate planning with segregated funds. And also there's possible life insurance opportunities, which I'll talk about later, such as PAR, estate bond for some of this cash your clients are holding on to. Now, if anything, there's this one line I want you all to either write down. We'll make the presentation available as well. Ask your clients this question: what portion, Graham, of your liquid cash investments or net worth will you never spend? What portion, Sam? Is it 10%, 15%, or 25%? They'll think about it, and let's say they're worth $10 million, and they say to you, you know what? I'm never going to spend $2 million of my fortune. So now you know that $2 million, we can earmark it initially into seg funds or into PAR insurance, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. So again, for all of you, write this down, ask your clients this question, and I find successful advisors in this market, this is how it is positioned, because they're never going to spend that money, and we can find a better investment option for them. Just quickly, 10 best features of seg funds. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Again, we have an entire presentation on these 10 features, but things like guarantees, privacy, protection from creditors, cost savings, control, simplified taxation. You get one tax slip for seg funds. The time factor, it's paid out quickly. You avoid traps and pitfalls. Out there, especially in the Asian market, I hear advisors and clients say, oh, we hold this account jointly. The house is owned jointly, but there's many traps and pitfalls to doing that. Flexibility, and of course, all the planning features that we can do amongst seg funds. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to segue into the next presentation. And as I do that, if there's any questions on the chat, maybe Graham and Sam can have a look at that. But if not, I'll just continue.
If I may, I'll just wait for Graham to see whether there's anything written on the chat box. Otherwise, I may want you to say a few words.
Nothing from my end. Nothing. We're all good just now. Yeah. Alex is doing such a great job. Nobody's got any questions. It's fantastic. I love it.
Okay, well, before we start part two, Sam, maybe if you wanted to, again, just summarize. Again, I've always said, people at IDC World Source, whether it be yourself, Sam, the BDEs that you work with, Stephen, Graham, myself, we have the opportunity, and we have the pleasure to work with some of the top advisors in the industry. So we get to see firsthand what they're doing. So when Graham and I put that presentation together on the top 10 markets, we see this happening every day. We see the big tickets come in from those 10 areas. So again, Sam, if you can reinforce, those 10 key markets where the 1.24 billion came in from.
Yeah, if you may go back to the summary page where you have the list of top 10. I may just say a few words in Mandarin just to 大家都知道的，我们做业务呢，一般情况都跑不了是你的自己的年龄段的上下10年。那变成了这10个机会呢，不一定是全部都是适合你的，所以你只是挑适合你自己的这个旁边的顾客，或者是你边上的那种社会关系。 那其中一个我特别喜欢讲的就是 number 3啊，因为呢你的顾客可能已经来了很久的，已经现在大概是55岁左右的再加我们是这个 visible minority， 你会发现呢很多新移民，哪怕他是非常聪明很棒，但是他是打工的，他一进入55岁的开始有一种潜在的威胁，就不知为什么原因呢，公司一改组了，他是首当其冲的，就给人家炒鱿鱼了，那变成了突然之间呢，最重要是另外一个重点是突然就发现了有这个事情，老板就要他到房间，然后给他看了，你要选择 commute 还是 not commute， 30天以内决定，所以呢，这个是一个很难得的机会，你会帮助你的顾客，因为很多顾客也没有市场准备有这个事情发生，所以呢，他真的很需要我们去帮他忙当然你会说陈先生，我不知道我什么时候顾客有这个问题，所以我个人的习惯就是说要经常跟顾客联络，在插谈聊天的过程当中知道这个事还有呢，很多时候呢，如果公司改组，也不会只是你一个顾客或者一个朋友是牺牲者，一般都是整个部门特别是做电脑的，很多我常常听着哪怕我自己的朋友is it I'm on the screen or not? I just make sure that I'm being
Yeah,
visible.
we can see you, Sam.
I do not see myself, so I feel funny. Anyway, 我说的你会发现这个市场，如果你已经在这个市场的年龄段了，一打开就很容易有 referral， 因为呢，很多部门都是一次灌一个部门，不会只一个人受影响，所以你的顾客也会有一大堆的同事受到影响，所以呢，这个生意一开出来的，有时候也挺好做的。因为特别做电脑，我有几个朋友就是突然之间公报说，哎，我们整个部门搬去印度，那就很多一大堆人没工作，也有照顾的这个 retirement 怎么去 commute 还是 not commute， 所以跟你说一下这个事。然后呢，一个是第五可能是疫情咱们都比较有多时间去看看电视、看看电影，你会发现很多现在老外电影我们中国的电影跟电视剧都有一些争产的情节，还有一些是这个孙女士20岁突然之间发现了祖父呢给这个遗产不给他爸爸妈妈然后老外这边也非常流行了 blend family 这个过程当中呢变成要这个世界已经变了，所以呢大家要注意。还有一个是我自己也观测到的是，我们在多伦多这边有一个律师已经40几岁，他是第一代的华人律师有一点跑题实在不是跑题。他呢是每个礼拜天下午4点半在多伦多的电台都会讲遗嘱他用广东话讲的，因为他普通话不是特别好，因为是第一代的香港人。他讲什么呢？他有一次我在路上听，他说：“你不要以为我们就很保守他常常处理很多这个遗产这个遗嘱了老人家90几岁死了，突然之间呢，他当事人会发现呢，有一个人说是他的同父异母的兄弟姊妹出来要争产。所以呢，这个privacy跟这个控制权就产生有一个很大的意义。所以有时候推广这个 segregated 不是追求这个回报率，有时候是要强化一些这个 privacy 这个控制权。所以我用不同的角度的去就回应我们陈总刚才讲的话这些都是跟大家说一下的。然后最后那个第9点我也说一下刚才陈总也说了Digital 那边有一个GIA 在座当中有一些已经在做，有一些没注意的是特别好。还有呢，哪怕这个公司在华人圈子还是不是特别响当当，它这个 GIA 呢也有中文的材料所以呢大家可以事后的来找我我们可以呢在这个机会的去学习一下。那第二呢，有跟大家说很多顾客呢是在手上面这 GIC 一直没有胆量或时间去了解基金，但是知道基金好，他也害怕亏本，所以这个 GIA 呢，所以就可能很好的一个过渡呢， 从 GIC 的银行到 GIA， 然后再慢慢培养这个信心，看顾客的情况跟需要，再发展其他投资的项目跟工具。好了，我都说到这里，交给这个 Alex。
Okay, so our part 2 of the presentation, I wanted to save the best part for the last. Again, I've got 2 great case studies for you that really shows the transition from wealth to par. And again, Sam was good enough to do the translation there in Chinese. So again, once again, we want to thank Jun Gao of Trinity for making this possible and opening up this presentation to all of our Chinese advisors across Canada. So thank you once again, Jun. Now, this presentation, I'm also actually profiling one of the firms that I brought to IDC World Source about 4.5 years ago. And I work quite closely with them. And of course, Graeme out east has many similar examples of advisors and firms working in this market. So the firm is Westgroup Financial Management, Inc. And they actually specialize in this concept from wealth to par, and I'll show you how and why. The founders of this firm, Karm Panesar and Bao Kundan, they are both the owners, founders, and partners of Westgroup Financial Management. They entered the business and actually joined IDC World Source as new advisors about 4 years ago, and they've been annual President's Conference qualifiers. And again, these are the second careers for both. I think Sam's not muted unless he's chatting. Hello, Sam? So Karm was an owner of an excavating company, real estate developer and accountant. And Bao was a university professor and IT consultant and real estate developer. So it kind of gives you an idea of how we've always said that our industry is a great industry, a second industry for people that come from other professions. And these 2 gentlemen are a great example with their background. In a short time they've been in the business, the partners themselves have reached 50 million of segregated funds, and they'll reach this by the end of 2022. And most of this business was gathered in the last 3 years. As the first wall was done, they spent time planning, organizing, hiring, recruiting, planning and building out their office, and other infrastructure. So really they've accumulated about 50 million in assets in about 3 years, which is exceptional. Their target market, high net worth executives, incorporated professionals, and small business owners. They have on staff a CFA portfolio manager. They have a CPA accountant on staff, and they have 3 full-time admin marketing support staff, and they have 16 sub-advisors in their firm. Now their approach, is because they both have an education background as well, is comprehensive financial retirement and estate planning. And they integrate that all with in-house accounting, and they also do mortgage brokering as well through another partner. And of course, they have their legal and accounting professionals, both in-house and out-house. And their plan is always goals and objective based. So again, keep that in mind. They focus on goals of the clients and objective based investing. And from both my experience and Graham's experience, advisors on the wealth side that work with clients on their goals and their objectives of what they want to do with the money. You know, the product you use is always secondary. So keep that in mind. This firm, they're located in South Surrey, BC. They're licensed in, of course, BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Ontario. And their focus is on the Asian and South Asian markets. So again, that's the market they focus in. And of course, most of the advisors on the line today focus on the Asian markets, but both Bell and Carm, they also focus on the South Asian markets as well. And they're sharing with us today 2 case studies from Wealth to Par. So case study number 1, we'll just call this individual Mr. A. Wang. That's not his real name, but pretty close to that. Mr. Wang and his spouse are family friends of Carmen Bell. They're land investors and also real estate developers. The wife is actually a dentist, and she runs a large, successful practice. Now, discussions with the accountant, Mr. Wang's accountant, commences at the very beginning. And after the initial approach to discuss the process of comprehensive retirement and estate planning, integrated with their other services and in-house professionals, again, to reach financial goals and objectives. Mr. and Mrs. Wang, they have what we refer to as a holdco structure. So the holdco owns everything. It owns all the land, it owns real estate, it owns the dental practice, and inside the holding company, there was massive trapped corporate surplus. Now, they were existing clients of IA and TD Private Wealth, because most high net worth clients that you approach, they will have their wealth with one of the private wealth companies. Not always, but oftentimes they will. However, the client has never completed and was not offered any tax planning or estate planning. And all discussions at these 2 private wealth firms were solely on investment returns. Now, keep that in mind. And I find that with a lot of so-called private wealth firms, all they are focusing on is, okay, you can invest $1 million. Here's your portfolio. Here's the stocks. This is what we're going to try to make, you know, without any focus on goals or objectives. Many private wealth firms are focused on investment returns. All the investments were held in the holdco with little or no long-term planning, personally or corporately. In this situation, you know, Mr. Wang, he was very interested in transition of family wealth to the next generations. He wasn't too concerned about his portfolio at IA or TD Private Wealth, what stocks are in there, how much he's making. That was not his concern at all, because he's already wealthy. He wants to transition family wealth to the next generations. And also, high net worth individuals have already made their money, or they're already wealthy, so they're usually quite conservative. And one of his wishes were that 100% of his money get paid out upon his death in a short time period without being contested, right? And he embraced every aspect of seg funds role in estate planning, specifically the ability to bypass probate with privacy and substantial cost savings. And they also have young children, and the young children in this family, Mr. and Mrs. Wang, they were never shown how to utilize informal in trust for account with seg funds for the kids, and they were never shown how to protect the child's wealth, simplify taxation, and the huge PAR benefits for their children. So they were never shown that. So again, this created a big opportunity for both Bell and Carm to talk about PAR, not only with these clients, but also for their children. So continuing, and you find this a lot in the Chinese market as well. They want to test you out, right? They don't necessarily give you all their premium right away. They don't give you all their investment money right away. So Mr. Wang says to Westgroup, okay, I'll throw you a bone. I'll give you a few bucks. Here's 500,000. Show me the money. Show me what the 500,000 can do for me. So with the assistance of their in-house CFA, a seg fund portfolio was designed to have maximum growth with a target goal of consistently beating the indexes, but with smoother returns, limited volatility, and guarantees. And this is actually their investment policy statement, or IPS. When it comes to investing, and again, definitely talk to Sam, Graham, or myself about it. If you have an investment policy statement, you can basically show them, what their goals and objectives are with the money. So over the next year, the 500,000 grows to 600,000. So again, the markets were good. Their portfolio was good. The design and everything worked out well. So Mr. Wang and Mrs. Wang, convinced of the superior planning strategies, excellent client service, smooth returns, over the course of the next 2 years, the client invests another $8 million. And we involved IDC World Source tax and estate team. We involved the Lifeco's tax and estate team. We involved the business development executive and the regional wealth leader involved in this case from inception. And I guess the point I wanted to make out show there is, from the life companies, our in-house tax and estate, people like Sam, Stephen, myself, and Graham, and others, we're there to help you with these cases from the very beginning. Earlier, I talked about the corporate borrow to invest strategy. This strategy was also shown to Mr. and Mrs. Wang to show them how to get money out of the holdco. So we also did a very large investment loan for both of these individuals as well. And now that they have control of the wealth, we have always said in the industry, if you control the wealth, you control the money that goes into PAR. When I look at some of the large national bank-owned firms out there, CIBC, Wood Gundy, Scotia McLeod, RBC Dominion, and others, the reason why they have been so successful in selling large PAR policies is they control the cash. So it's very easy for them, once you control the cash, you can say to Mr. and Mrs. Wang, let me show you an alternative strategy to the seg fund account. So again, a wealth to PAR strategy is being implemented. We plan on depositing, or they have depositing, $1 million a year over the next 10 years on a 10-pay. And interestingly, one of the main concerns, the PAR is now generating, immense death benefit. But when we looked at the IRR, the internal rate of return on the cash, it has been excellent. And I know many of you on the line, you show your clients the IRR. Basically what that does, it shows them if you took the same money, put it into an outside investment, what is that worth in the future? So again, it's an analysis that we do a lot on the PAR insurance side. And after each meeting, more wealth is uncovered. And all of us on this line know, especially in the Chinese community, they don't divulge their wealth, all at once. They basically, as you work with them, you will find more wealth. You will uncover more wealth. They will divulge more of their net worth. So again, with these clients, the net worth is still not known. And after each meeting, more wealth is being uncovered. So in this case study, the total seg fund compensation and par compensation on this case, it has exceeded over $1 million of revenue to the firm. So again, this par case would not have been made possible had they not brought in the wealth first. Another case study number 2, Mr. B. Chen and Lotus Corporation. Now, Westgroup principals, they first met Mr. Chen and spouse about 15 years ago. They're both entrepreneurs and they had a previous business relationship. And this client actually approached our advisors a few times. They came to Westgroup and said, I need $6 million of term life insurance. Then all of a sudden, the tune changed and they said, I need 16 million of term to 100 life insurance. I know many advisors will just write up the case because there's nothing wrong with, a 6 million term life app or 16 million term to 100. But rather than just write up the case, they convince the clients to come into the office to do comprehensive financial, retirement, and estate planning. And they integrated their other services that they have in there, to meet their team, the CFA, CPA. And of course, they showed the client goals and objective-based investing, and also tax-efficient investment strategies. The existing portfolio was reviewed, and they found out that the existing portfolio was made out of many conservative stocks. There was very little rebalancing over the years. It was a typical buy and hold investment portfolio, again, with little focus on the goals and objectives for the company. And I find on the investment side, if you focus on the goals, once again, and the objectives of what your clients plan to do with the money, the products are secondary. They had discussions on the 10 advantages of seg funds. Again, these clients, very conservative. They like the guarantees of seg funds, especially the 100% upon death. Privacy was key. Again, both Mr. and Mrs. Chen, they come from blended families. They were both married before, children from a different marriage, blended. Again, very interested in potential for creditor protection as he is a business owner. And of course, she is a dentist, sometimes exposed to liability. And they want to simplify the estate with seg funds. And client was also educated on the passive income rules, and an estate plan was put into motion with a referral to Westgroup's lawyer to structure trusts for control of the corporate assets and to transition the assets, over to personal. Again, with the massive wealth of these clients, they have never been sent to a lawyer to structure trusts to transition their corporate assets. Over the course of a year, the client invested $3.5 million into segregated funds, again with portfolio design assisted by myself and the in-house CFA. These clients, as business owners, they were also ideal for corporate to borrow to invest, and they did another $500,000 per spouse. So total seg fund deposits from these clients are $4.5 million. And based on the passive income rules with the client's companies, Westgroup Financial Management proposed depositing $800,000 a year into a corporate PAR strategy for the client and spouse. Mr. Chan, an accountant, then discussed situations and the proposals in depth. And they came back and said, well, wait a minute. Yeah, we have the money to do this, you know, $800,000 a year. That's easy, no sweat. But what if we need these corporate funds for business expansion? They were looking at buying, you know, more buildings, and they were looking at more expansion. And based on an excellent cash flow, strong credit, risk tolerance, an IFA was brought up for discussion. Again, an IFA, immediate financing arrangement, where they deposit the corporate funds into the PAR policy, but it is borrowed back right away and put into the general reserves of the company. Mr. Chan's accountant had a past relationship with Carm, as Carm was a former accountant, and they brought the accountant into the discussion from day one, and the accountant actually liked and approved the IFA strategy. Again, these strategies you can work on with our tax and estate department, with Sam, Stephen, Graham, or myself, or with the BDE. We have found IFA strategies to work very well in the affluent market. And again, you can hear that I talk about the client's accountant a lot. And the reason why I do that, it's very important to have the accountant involved and attend every meeting, every step along the way, because the accountants can be your best ally in the large case market. Again, IDC World Source Tax and Estate, the life insurance company tax and estate, business development executive, your regional wealth leader, like myself and Graham. You know, you can bring us in on these cases from inception. This case was actually approved last month. It was 220,000 FYC, so a very nice case. When we looked at the FYC plus bonus and the compensation earned on the seg funds, this case study again generated a nice 928,000. Again, all made possible by bringing in the wealth first. So summary and observations, and then I'll turn it back to my brother Sam. It's very well known in the financial services industry, and I talked about this earlier. If you control the cash, you control the funding for the life insurance strategies. And this is really what is referred to as from wealth to PAR. So you accumulate the seg funds, and from there, you can show your clients alternative strategies for those funds. Interestingly, our top PAR producer in Canada, actually in Graham and Sam's region in Ontario, he is also the top Manulife bank account producer, because he's not that savvy on the wealth side. He doesn't want to, manage seg funds or, know too much about them. So what he does is, with all his corporate clients, all their retained earnings, personal cash, he shows them how to earn a bit more interest by putting the money into Manulife Bank Advantage account. But the real reason why he does that is he now controls the cash. So when he's showing, a PAR strategy, he just says, yeah, no sweat. We're going to transfer the money from Manulife Advantage account, and there's your money. Because believe me, there's nothing worse than when you present a large PAR case and you don't control the wealth. The client and their accountant, the client says, okay, I'm going to go to my stockbroker at RBC Dominion. I'm going to ask him for $500,000 because I'm going to place that into par whole life with you, Sam, as my agent. So they go to their stockbroker and say, I need 500,000. And of course, being, a good stockbroker, they'll say, oh, okay, sure, no problem. Oh, by the way, can I ask, why do you need that 500,000? Oh, well, I'm actually buying this permanent par insurance, as a wealth strategy or as an estate strategy. So right away, the stockbroker will say, oh, can I have a look at it? Or is there an opportunity for me to bring in my tax or insurance specialist at the brokerage firm? So again, you can risk losing that sale if your client has to go elsewhere. And we find this as well, even when your clients go to the bank and says to their banker, oh, Graham, I need $500,000. Oh, why? Well, I'm actually buying this par whole life policy. And again, then the banker says, well, wait a minute, can I refer you to the insurance specialist over on our brokerage side? So again, if you control the wealth, you can transition from wealth to par without issues. And always take the time to review the 10 unique features of seg funds. And the reason why I say this is you never know what is their hotspot or what is the most important to that individual that you're in front of. Again, borrow to invest strategy works very well in this market. Magnify wealth to the next generation using par. We call that estate bond, by magnifying their wealth. And usually, believe it or not, these high net worth clients, they're not a fan of CRA. We had one advisor that would always say to these clients, okay, Sam, who do you hate more? Do you hate CRA more, or do you hate Sun Life more? They go, oh, I hate CRA more. So they'll gladly write a check to the insurance company. So again, these clients are not a fan of CRA. Again, the question that I asked you all to learn, again, these high net worth clients, they're already wealthy. They have more money they can spend in their lifetime. Ask these clients when you meet with them, Sam, what portion of your liquid cash investments or net worth will you never spend? You're worth 10 million bucks. Is it 10%, $1 million, 15%, 1.5 million, 25%, 2.5 million? What amount of your money will they never spend? And they'll actually think about it, and they'll come back and say, you know what? $2 million I'm never going to spend. I want to leave that to my next generation. So right away, that opens the door for segregated funds and par insurance without any question. So again, take the time to learn that question, ask that question, and it will really open up the door for seg funds and par. And again, for those of you that show par as another stable asset class now, or providing magnified returns, again, personal or corporate insured retirement, or personal corporate estate bond later on. And those are the two big concepts we see on the par insurance side. Personal or corporate insured retirement, personal or corporate estate bond, and again, positioning par as an alternative asset class after you've brought in the funds, either into seg funds or Manulife Bank, high interest account for that matter. Counselor selling style to educate. Again, educate on financial and estate and retirement planning services prevail, as opposed to being, a product salesperson. Counsel these clients, educate them on all the planning services that you can offer, and show them the numbers. we spreadsheet these numbers all the time. You know, we show the numbers to the lawyers, the CPAs, and, you know, leverage off previous relationships from people that you known from other businesses, employments, you know, or friendships. So again, leverage off your contacts, show them the numbers. The numbers speak for themselves. I come from a family of 5 boys. 4 of my brothers are accountants. And early on in my career, I spent actually almost 20 years as a full-time advisor. And, you know, they would always say, well, show me the numbers. And again, I would show them the numbers. Today, I still help advisors showing accountants the numbers, and the numbers speak for themselves. Again, work closely with your business development executive, your RVPs, people like Sam and Stephen, the wealth leaders, people like myself and Graham, our director of banking, Vic Ray, can help you if it's an IFA situation. And again, we get to see what our top advisors are doing each and every day, and we get to see basically what is working. Again, this is my last slide. I call it, and Graham and I call it, the power of 10. It's really the 10 unique features of segregated funds that are unique to seg funds, which you can't get anywhere else. And I touched upon them in the other presentation. We actually have a full presentation on the power of 10 and the 10 unique features of seg funds, the guarantees, privacy, protection, the cost savings that you can make without probate and executor and lawyers fees, control, the simplified tax, the time factor, avoiding traps and pitfalls, flexibility, and most of all, the planning strategies that you can do around seg funds, and then hopefully transitioning the seg fund wealth to par insurance. So that's it for my presentation, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you for the business that you give to IDC World Source. So we thank you all for that. And once again, thank you for Mr. Jun Gao for allowing us to expand this presentation to all of our associates in the Asian market across Canada. So thank you very much, and over to Sam and then to Graham if there's any questions.
Alex, thank you so much. I saw there were a few questions popping up. Graham, am I correct?
Questions have been answered.
Oh, okay.
I was doing that live. Yeah.
I didn't see it. Do you mind elaborate verbally now for the rest of the team?
Let me just go into here. One of the first questions, an interesting question. How do you answer the client when TD Private Wealth have told the client that MERs are higher with segregated funds? And my response to that was, that's exactly true. They are going to be a little bit more expensive because you're adding guarantees to the product. But once you demonstrate the value inside that segregated fund, what Alex has described, the 10 reasons there, usually the MER becomes a very insignificant topic to discuss after that point. We have got some client pieces again that we can send out, or maybe we'll send to yourself, Sam, and you can distribute. But really, the value in the seg fund doesn't come down to the MER. It's there's a lot more to state costs and saving taxes, etc., etc. So that's why that question was there. Also, a question on the processing of a large investment loan. And the response I had to that was, we'll engage Vic Ray, our bank and VP, to help with that. He is an expert in lending and banking products, and he will do the hand-holding to make sure that the process is put in place, the right product is put in place, and the information that's submitted for underwriting is the right stuff, so that the loan has a better chance of getting approved with the least amount of hassle. So that was the 2 questions.
Thank you. 我来去就是讲这句话了。他们2位是非常忙碌的，如果有其他事情可以不要害羞，争取这个机会直接提问。我们多等1分钟。I think there's another one coming up, or it's just a thank you note.
You know, I think it would be remiss, and this is a great concept of Graham's, for the advisors out there, because let's face it, when you do a large par life insurance case, in a perfect world, we would wish that all those cases are issued. But from time to time, maybe 5% of the time, those cases are declined. And if it is a corporate owned situation, you may want to take that, I guess, committed premium and show them the corporate borrow to invest strategy. I know Graeme loves to talk about it. Maybe Graeme, you just mentioned this quickly to the advisors on the call, the opportunity that that is presented.
Sure. I mean, I get quite passionate about this because I know that when an advisor is going to present that type of concept, they've typically engaged the client's accountant and so on. They're committing significant premium and a long-term strategy. I mean, we're not talking about $100 a month here. It could be $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month in premium. And if that's not, if the client's unable to meet the underwriting, medical underwriting, just insurance underwriting and medical underwriting is two different things, as we know. That client could live forever, but just they might not be able to qualify for the insurance. So what are we going to do with that premium? What are we going to do with the $2,000 a month? Let's borrow the amount, back it with a 100 seg fund. And you know something, there's no risks to anybody there. The longer that client lives, or if they live the full 15 years, the loan's paid off. There's a large amount of money there that was deemed to replicate the insurance anyway. So it's something we can discuss. It's a second place strategy to what we're trying to do initially. But we don't want to lose that opportunity. We know we've got the cash flow. We know we've got the buy-in. And when we have the loan, we're going to get the deduction for the interest cost as well. So the client's accountant is typically really quite happy with that. They'll embrace that idea. But we just don't want to lose that opportunity of the primary insurance sale and the loss of the premium and the eventual revenue to the advisor. So that's it rather quickly.
Great. Thank you.
If I may, I'm just getting a little bit warmed up now. It's too late. I like one of the last point on the case study. I will put it in Mandarin. 刚才第一个案例了，哪怕是没有什么技术含量的，就是他说，如果一个业务员能够手上能够同时掌握顾客的金钱的来源呢，这个是很棒的一个状况。然后他就举个例子，如果你经常的去推广这个 Manulife Advantage Account， 你会通过这个过程当中，那么这个工作的利润很低，几乎是零啊。但是呢，通过这个过程当中呢，慢慢的累积、渗透、了解、掌握你顾客的财务状况，就免得呢你讲这个事情讲到最后一关呢，因为人家要从Netburns 或者其他的公司捞钱过来，磨磨唧唧的结堂还有故意拖延或者是干脆的找别的同事呢去抢你的生意。所以我这个我认为是好像是很简单，但是我知道了有一些 advisor 呢感觉这个太琐碎了，我没时间去做也有道理但是呢大家可以重新去考量这个 Advantage Account 的功能。还有呢，大家可能都知道的，我们有很多在座的伙伴也在做，就是 Advantage Account 也可以你设一个 bank link 一个 URL， 这样呢你就尽量是在这个初期是一个低利润的业务呢，用一个比较省时省力的方法了去做这个连接。如果这个在座当中没有做过这个URL 的要 set it up 的你可以找我那我会帮你去把它搞定也不收费用的是非常简单所以还有其他的 AMG 的华野 advisor 的，他们也常常呢用这个 Advantage Account Promotion 的去维持自己的曝光率所以这个也顺便提一下。I just talk about the Advantage Account, the bank link things, and how to we can use that as a one of the way to keep promoting ourselves right in front of our clients on a regular basis, because our Advantage Account periodically they have different promotion as well. Yeah, I just try to give you a back translation of what I just said, Alex. Okay, this is for me. So anything else, Alex?
No, that's it. Again, thank you, Sam and June, for having me. Graeme, thank you for joining us today. And again, thank you to all the advisors on the call. Thank you for your business and your support. And definitely reach out to Sam, Stephen, Graeme, or myself if we can help you on any cases or help you further. So thank you very much. And again, thank you for June Kyle for opening this up to everybody.
Okay, sorry, there's some technical problem. So Graeme, anything else you want to add?
Nope, nothing from me. I mean, actually, maybe just one thing. We had a great discussion with Vic, our banking person, yesterday, all around mortgages. We don't have time right now, but I would obviously encourage the group to think about that as another leg in the stool of revenue. It's a very easy sale. It's a very easy thing to talk to about a client, to open up a discussion in the investing space. Most of us have a mortgage. If we live in the Greater Toronto area or in Vancouver, we have a mortgage, and it can be a really very a great source of revenue and a great topic to discuss with a client as part of their overall planning. So that's from me. Thank you. Thanks for giving us a chance to be in front of everybody. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
那最后了，那就感谢在座60几位的伙伴那就非常感谢你们关注今天这个活动我们下一次讲普通话的时候，我们多伦多有一个跟永明经常每个月的来一次的培训有兴趣的外省的，你可以跟我咨询，是3月3号。然后呢3月8号我们有另外一个是 Intergenerational 的也是用普通话讲的不是我讲是他们那边讲的，讲关于他们的小孩子的 CI 跟他们 Intergenerational 的 20 Pay 分红保单这一次是第一次他们公开的用普通话讲的这个 Intergenerational 也麻烦大家关注一下然后呢3月中旬我们也有呢 Manulife Affinity， 他们呢最近也加了一个帅哥讲流利的普通话的来跟大家普及一下呢对于有关于Manulife Affinity 他们的产品还有他们一些推销活动都大家关注一下。但是我也老习惯，我会定期跟大家提醒那顺便趁这个机会呢跟大家做一下我们3月份已经铺垫了很多活动给大家。好，那我们就这样子，到此为止，后会有期，拜拜。